Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. In this video we're going to be exploring a concept skill made by a RuneScape 3 player. This skill is called Necromancy. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax and enjoy. Necromancy. A concept elite skill designed or thought about by Nathan M, also known as Maze on Reddit. So I got the idea to make this video by David de Jager sending me a message on Discord, sending me a link to the Reddit post and document made by Nathan. After a quick scan over this concept skill, I was immediately interested, and so I decided to contact Nathan on Reddit to ask him if I was allowed to make a video on his concept. And he replied quite positively and even offered to send me high quality images of the images he used in his document. And with that being said, let's go ahead and explore this skill and see what Necromancy actually has to offer. After that, I'll give my full opinion on this concept. Let's go. So what exactly is Necromancy and what does it do? Well, Necromancy is a new elite skill that will link 3 skills together to create a new and unique way to play. Unlocking Necromancy is much like Invention, requiring level 80 in 3 skills, in this case being magic, summoning and runecrafting. The main goal of Necromancy is to offer you a unique way to play endgame content. This is with new added Necromancy abilities, Undead potion effects, and the ability to become the Undead yourself, which we'll talk about a bit later on in this video. Now, like said previously, much like Invention, Necromancy will be an elite skill. Therefore, it will follow the same experience curve as elite skills like Invention. This means that level 99 will require you to get 36 million experience, and level 120 will require you to get 80.6 million experience in the skill. Now, because it is a new skill, every new skill needs a skill cape, both for level 99 and a master skill cape for level 120. What would these look like? Well, he has come up with those as well, with the main cape being a purple cape with a green trim, and as an alternative, a black cape or dark grey cape, much like the Slayer Master cape, with a green trail. And to be honest, this looks absolutely amazing. One more important thing to note about the Necromancy skill is with this skill, the max combat level is now level 160. Now Nathan actually made a new combat formula as well, which is now on screen. That's actually a pretty nice addition and little detail instead of just saying, well, the max combat level with the Necromancy skill is now level 160 instead of level 138. No, he went out of his way to make an entire formula for that. So how do you actually train Necromancy and how do you gain experience? Well, there are various ways of getting experience in this skill. The first way of getting Necromancy experience is by using the abilities that come with the skill. These are actually used in combat alongside your normal abilities, and we will quickly be going over those in just a minute. Now, Nathan himself didn't really want to work out how much % of the experience of combat you actually gain in Necromancy by using the abilities, but he said he'd assume it will be around 10% of the combat experience you get in total, which in my opinion sounds pretty realistic. The second way is by runecrafting twisted runes, which are used in the casting of the Necromancy abilities. So the abilities are pretty much magic spells and abilities combined into one thing. These will give you runecrafting experience as well. And another way of gaining experience in Necromancy is by creating new Necromancy Undead tokens, which are pretty much summoning pouches. And that's the coolest part about this skill, which we will be covering in a few minutes as well. Now, speaking of runecrafting, let's go ahead and focus towards that first. These Necromancy abilities you use in combat require twisted runes. These are actually created by using one of the basic abilities called Undead Magic. Using this ability, you convert a stack of runes in your inventory into their twisted variants. You can craft 5 at a time, 60 steps at a time, meaning 300 runes per minute. Which means making these twisted runes isn't going to take you very long and you can easily get a nice stack inside of your bank. And then in the document he made, he said, why place a rune cost on abilities? He believes this will help the rune prices to rise slightly, making regular rune crafting slightly more profitable, which is good, and it also helps them to show that they are unique from normal combat abilities. This also means you will not have to go to a rune crafting altar to make these twisted runes, which in my opinion is a good thing. Because of that undead magic ability, you can just do it wherever you are, as long as you have the runes in your inventory. It also seems to be a decent but very slow way of training rune crafting at a bank, with the max experience rate being 54k experience per hour. And one more thing I need to mention, you can actually create a twisted omni rune. This rune requires 5 of each twisted runes to create. However, this rune is special as it counts as a replacement for any other rune, removing the requirement to carry loads of different twisted runes with you in combat. Now let's get into the very interesting and unique stuff. We're going to be going over Undead mode and the abilities you can use in combat. The first ability, of course, is the Undead Magic basic ability requiring level 1 Necromancy, which is the rune for rune crafting normal runes into twisted runes. The second ability is Twisted Self, which is also a basic ability you unlock at level 1. With this ability you become undead. Now what exactly is becoming undead and what does it do? Now while in the undead state or mode, the player's character will give off a purple glow as a clear indicator that you're in undead mode and not in normal mode. Whilst undead you have a few benefits. All necromancer experience is increased by 25%. All necromancer abilities are increased by 25%, so the effects of them. And whilst undead, you gain a 10% passive damage to undead enemies, being for example zombies or ghosts. This could be particularly useful at revenants. Whilst undead, you will be unable to use prayers, which is a good way to balance out the undead state. Also, all healing items will be reduced by 75% effectiveness, meaning that food will give you much less life points. And when killing enemies, you will automatically gain dead parts. These are then added to your currency pouch, much like the invention components pouch or whatever, and how much you get is determined by the enemy's combat level, so the higher the more you get. This then consumes any bones or ashes that would have dropped if you were in normal mode. The next ability unlocked at level 7 is Blight, also being a basic ability. For 10 seconds, your enemy becomes 20% more vulnerable to your attacks. Your defense is reduced by 50%, however. I can see this being a useful ability for PvM when you're pretty much trying to be a glass cannon. The next ability at level 4 is Flame Skull. Fire a Flame Skull at your target, dealing 17.5 to 125% weapon damage. At level 12, there's another basic called the Ghostly Axe. Create a Ghostly Axe that protects you for 30 seconds, attacking any enemy you are targeting. The next ability is called Blindness, which is also a basic ability. Your current target will become blind and stop attacking you for 6 seconds. This will allow you to attack the target while he is blind. I can see this being useful in PvP especially. It's kind of like a little flashbang in RuneScape. The next two abilities unlocked at level 23 are Slipshot and Slipstream. They are both thresholds. For Slipshot, if your next range attack misses, you will gain 100% accuracy in your next attack, and that attack will then deal 250% weapon damage. For the magic version, Slipstream, it's exactly the same. This seems to be a pretty nice ability. Even though it's a threshold, it seems like an easy way to dish out extra damage. But this ability, of course, also requires Twisted Runes. The next ability is at level 34 Necromancy, being Blood Tap. The next ability you cast is guaranteed to hit, however you will take damage in 25% of your total life points, which is a big hit. The next ability at level 49 is a threshold called Reusable Parts. If an enemy dies within 4 seconds of being damaged by a Necromancer ability, your next Necromancer ability cast requires no runes whatsoever. I can see this being a money saver in the long run. The next ability is Chill Touch at level 54 Necromancy. Attack your enemy for 100% to 212% weapon damage. This attack will also freeze your enemy for 6 seconds, so pretty much a stunning ability. The first ultimate ability at level 63 is Wall of Bones. Summon a line of 8 skeletons who will march forward in the direction they spawn in, dealing 250% weapon damage per tick to any enemy they walk into. They will disappear after 10 steps. At level 66, there's this ability which is a threshold called False Life, and I really like this ability for monsters that do not make you profit whatsoever. Target an enemy. When this enemy dies, it will explode into a 4x4 poison pool, dealing 200 poison damage per tick to anyone standing inside. However, these enemies will not drop loot upon death. This is great for the Abyss. Next up, at level 73, there's the Brothers in Death threshold. If your target is undead, it will lose all its immunities until it dies. So if a monster is immune to poison, it will then be non-immune to poison, which is useful, I guess. Next up, at level 78, another ultimate ability, Dark Exchange. Siphon your current prayer points. You will gain 10 times of these prayer points back into life points. A little healing ability right there. At level 80, we have a very cool ultimate ability called Rise. The next enemy you kill will rise from the dead and will attack your current target for 60 seconds. This ability does not work on bosses. This ability will, however, work with any combat style, and I really think this is a very cool concept. I'm a big fan of this ability, it seems really cool. At level 85, we have another threshold called Astral Projection. Briefly enter the astral plane, attacking enemies' defense instead of their life points. I don't know exactly how this could be useful unless you actually lower their defense, which is probably what it does, which is decent and could be useful for bosses. At level 89, we have another threshold called Chain Strike. Deal damage equal to 10 times your necromancy level to your target. This effect will chain to all enemies around you until an attack misses. At level 99, we have an ultimate ability called Become Undead. This ability will only activate if you die within the next 30 seconds. If you die, you will continue taking damage for 10 seconds. You will then be resurrected, and any damage you were dealt during death, you will deal as extra damage back to your target over 60 seconds. Kind of a different variant of Barricade. This ability has a 60-minute or 1-hour cooldown. This ability works with any combat style as well. That's a pretty interesting one actually. Could be very good for PvM as well. At level 104 we have Wail of the Banshee. All enemies within a 7x7 radius will be stunned for 6 seconds. Then some special abilities which are improved at every level seen on screen. Summon Dragon 1, 2 and 3 is an ultimate. Summon a dragon that flies from the heavens, breathing a line of fire above your target. Probably much like Vindictus Fire, hitting any other enemy in its path. This damage is increased depending on your level in Necromancy, being either 45, 92 or 109. Then another one being Summon Colossus 1, 2 and 3. Summon a 4x4 Colossal Bloat on your position. This bloat will attack anything in a 2x2 radius around it, including the player if you're standing there, so keep your distance. This bloat lasts 15, 30 or 60 seconds. Then at level 117, Death's Boneyard, desecrate the ground of your target, covering a 4x4 area. Enemies inside this area will have 2% reduced defense per tick and have a 10% chance per hit to be stunned. Each enemy killed during this ability will heal you 1000 life points, and this will last 10 seconds. Next up are a ton of ultimate abilities, the first of which being the Twisted Sunshine ability. Create a 7x7 purple sunshine where you're standing, granting you a 75% increase in magic damage when inside. Seems to be a very big difference. Any enemy inside Sunshine will be dealt poison damage every second equal to 50% of your main hand's weapon damage for 20 seconds, much like Sunshine itself. Pretty good, I guess. Bit better than normal Sunshine, but the one that caught my attention was the Rift of Passage. Create a rift where you're standing. For 30 seconds, all enemies around this rift will be drawn towards the rift, and all enemies in a 2x2 radius of the rift will take 200 to 500% weapon damage per tick in lightning damage. And oh boy, after I've covered all of those abilities, which are pretty unique and very interesting, I do have to say, which I'll say in my final opinion as well, most of these abilities seem a bit overpowered, though of course they could be tweaked and balanced out. However, I fear that this would change the combat system forever pretty much, and it will make it very complex. However, they are very cool. But now let's hop into the most interesting part of this skill, Necromancy and summoning the undead. So to summon undead creatures, the player must be in the undead state. The undead are actually summoned by using a undead token. Undead tokens are created by crafting a corrupt magic log with a ring of life. One of each item is required to craft one undead token empty. These undead tokens, which are empty, can now be clicked on to be cursed. When you curse an undead token, you can turn it into a summonable undead token. Cursing an undead token which is empty will require empty pouches, spirit shards, charms and other items related to the monster you're trying to curse the token with. And you of course will require a certain necromancy level depending on which type of undead you're trying to summon. But these items, these cursed undead tokens, are untradeable and unstackable, so you cannot sell them on the Grand Exchange. Cursing tokens will grant necromancy and magic experience. Now these undead cursed tokens are pretty much summoning familiar pouches, however there's a little twist. So summoning one of these undead through the undead tokens requires a undead summoning slot. At level 1 necromancy, a skeleton will take up 1 slot. However, at level 120 necromancy, you have 5 undead summoning slots unlocked. So you could summon 5 skeletons for example at level 120, or you could summon 1 undead black dragon, or a gravekeeper and a death knight. It all depends on your personal preference. Now the lists you see on screen are just to give you a general idea, and they are all made by Nathan himself. Now some monsters will actually also have a effect. For example, the undead black dragon has a Hell's Flame effect, which gives a 10% chance to cast the Dragon Breath ability onto your target, dealing damage of course. Now to balance things out, the stronger and the higher level monsters will probably last a shorter amount of time compared to the lower level summons. However, they will be much stronger, but they will also cost more resources to create. You will also get Necromancy XP when you summon an undead creature. Now after explaining this skill as best as I could, I'm going to be giving you guys my full opinion on this elite skill concept called Necromancy. This has to be the best concept elite skill I have ever seen, or at least read about. There has been a lot of thought and work into creating something that's presentable and understandable by the community, and that is why he has made a Reddit post. I believe there was a lot of thought behind this and it all makes perfect sense. However, there are always cons to anything that is good and could be a potential update. I really like the concept of the twisted runes and the fact that you have new abilities. However, this will complicate the combat system even more, especially if weapon diversity is actually put into the game as well. There will be so many new abilities to learn, and it could completely overhaul the way we know PvM as it is today. And for newer players, it might be a bit confusing. However, in the end, I do think we'd get used to it. Now, speaking about the summoning part of the Necromancy skill, which is by far, like 100% my favorite part about this concept skill, because it's pretty much a summoning rework if you think about it. It's summoning with a twist. I've actually talked about a summoning rework myself and how I would like to have multiple summons and such. However, I do see one con on this. Even though there's a limit of how many slots you actually have in Necromancy, I know in portable worlds people could become annoying by using multiple accounts and summoning a lot of those skeletons or low Necromancy summon slot monsters to make other people lag. However, there could be a solution for that. For example, they cannot appear in banking areas like the Longbridge Common Academy or the Grand Exchange to prevent lag. To be honest, that's probably the best solution. I mean, how cool is it actually that you can personally pick and there's just tons of choices of which familiars or undead familiars you're going to bring along for your bossing or slayer trip. One might have a certain ability to boost your damage and the other might have a healing ability. This is so incredibly cool and interesting, and there's just limitless options of what combinations you could have while going out for combat training. And with that being said, I really stand behind this concept. I really do like it. However, as you may know, Jagex probably won't implement this, but who knows. I hope at least one of those Jagex moderators will watch this video and at least consider it, or think about a summoning rework with the undead familiar mechanics Nathan has thought about. Anyways, leave your thoughts down below on this incredible concept skill, and if you want to check out the original post, which will probably be updated in the future, check the link in the description below. I'll also leave Nathan's Twitter in the description below if you want to contact him or ask him any questions, but I'm sure he will be looking at the comments section of this video as well. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, because I did, reading through the skill and talking about it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.